Let us recall integral domain and then we will move forward. So what is integral domain? So in short, we will write ID for integral domain. So a ring R plus dot is called integral domain if R has no non-zero left zero divisor. This is equivalent to saying that R has no non-zero right zero divisor. This is equivalent to saying that if AB is equal to 0 in R, this implies A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0, where AB are elements of R. This is equivalent to saying that if A is not equal to 0 and B is not equal to 0, these are two non-zero elements, then this implies that AB is equal to 0. Again, AB belongs to R. This is equivalent to saying that R star is a semi-group with respect to multiplication. This is a semi-group. Semi-group. What is R star? R star means R minus 0. 0 means the additive identity, that is the identity of the operation plus. This is equivalent to saying that in R, A, B is equal to AC, where A is not equal to 0, implies B is equal to C, and BA is equal to CA, where again A is not equal to 0, implies B is equal to C. So a ring R plus is called integral domain if R has no non-zero left zero divisor, or you may say R has no non-zero right zero divisor, or if AB is equal to 0 implies A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0, or if A is not equal to 0, B is not equal to 0, then AB is not equal to 0, or R star dot is a semi-group, or in R AB is equal to AC implies B is equal to C provided A is non-zero, and BA is equal to BA is equal to CA, where A is not equal to 0 implies B is equal to C. So one thing you should note that in between these two there is an operation of multiplication. Always there is an operation of multiplication, which either I write or not write, you should understand that there is an operation of multiplication. For addition we will use plus, but for multiplication several times we will not put the dot. Okay. One thing you note that if R plus dot is integral domain, then what will happen is that R star is a semi-group with respect to dot. Also, if we see this identity is true in R. So if you see this identity in R star, then what will happen is that you need not to take that A is not equal to 0, A is not equal to 0, because that is already in R star. So if you see this identity in R star, then this identity in R star is just the left cancellation law, and this identity in R star is just the right cancellation law. So if R plus dot is integral domain, then R star dot is semi group in which cancellation laws because there are two laws of cancellation, left cancellation and right cancellation. These two laws hold. So actually it is an if and only if condition. Why? Because if R plus is an integral domain, then these two will happen, and if these two will happen, then R plus will become a integral domain. So this is actually if and only if condition. So R plus is integral domain. You may write it as, you may also write it as, this is integral domain if and only if R star dot is a semi group in which cancellation laws hold. Now one result from the lecture, you can see this result in my lecture, group theory, lecture 4b, that a finite semi group in which cancellation law hold is a group. So any finite semigroup in which cancellation law holds is a group. So if R plus dot is an integral domain, then R star dot is a semigroup in which cancellation law holds. So it means if R plus dot is a finite integral domain, then R star dot is a group. So let us write this fact again. So if R plus dot is a finite integral domain, then R star dot is a group. Again, this condition is also if and only if. Now, let us recall what is division ring. Division ring is also called skew field. Both are different name of same thing. So what is R plus dot? A ring R plus dot is called division ring if R star dot is a group. And what is field? A ring R plus dot is field if R star dot is an abelian group. So the only difference is that it is a group and it is an abelian group. Now what does this means? A finite integral domain, then R star dot is a group. It means this statement simply implies that a finite integral domain is a division ring. This statement, these two statements simply implies that a finite integral domain is a division ring. So a finite integral domain is a division ring. So the only thing, the difference between these two is that the only difference between these two is the difference of commutativity of the operation. But there is a theorem of Wedderburn the theorem of Wedderburn says that Wedderburn theorem this theorem says that a finite integral domain is a field. Means what we have proved is that a finite integral domain is a division ring, but there is a theorem of Wedderburn which says that a finite integral domain is a field, means commutativity will automatically come. So this operation will automatically become commutative and this division ring will become field. The proof of this theorem you can get in the book of Ian Herstein, Topics in Algebra. You can get the proof of this theorem. We are not going to give the proof of this theorem, but this is the fact that if you have a finite integral domain, then that finite integral domain will become field. But it is not true for infinite case. This theorem is not true for infinite case. So example, you know H, the ring of real quaternions, the ring of real quaternion. While giving this example, we have shown that this is a division ring. And we have also shown that the operation is non-commutative. So it is actually an infinite division ring, infinite division ring which is not a field, which is not a field, because the operation of multiplication is not commutative. So in infinite case there are division rings which are not field, but in finite case any division ring is actually a field, because any finite integral domain is a field. Now let us see some examples of integral domain and examples of not an integral domain. So as we know, this is a ring. Now is this ring is integral domain? Is C01 integral domain? So the answer is very obvious. No, it is not an integral domain, because the multiplication is defined as fx into gx, and if we take a function fx such that, and this x is varying from 0 to 1, so if we take a continuous function fx such that whenever gx is 0, fx is non-zero, and whenever gx is non-zero, fx is 0. For example, as we have already shown you that suppose I take, this is one example, there may be several such examples of functions. So suppose this is the graph of fx, and suppose I take another function half 1, and this is half, and this is the point 1 half, and and otherwise this function is 0. Suppose this is the graph of gx. So if you take the product of these two functions, and then when you will calculate the value on this range 0 to half, its value is non-zero but its value is 0, so their product will be 0. And when you will calculate the value in this range, then this is 0 and this is non-zero, so product will be 0. So both the functions are non-zero function, but their product is 0, so this is not an integral domain. So this is not an integral domain. What about the ring M n cross n R or n cross n Z? Is this ring is integral domain? So obviously answer is no, because there are several examples in this ring. Suppose I take all the entries to be 0 except the first row last entry. Suppose I take this matrix A, and what about A square? A square is a 0 matrix, n cross n. So it means it has a 0 divisor. It has two non-zero elements whose product is 0. So it is not an integral domain. So this is not an integral domain. Now one more thing, this n cross n Z is contained in M n cross n Q, and this is contained in M n cross n R, and that is contained in M n cross n C. So what does it mean? If this is not an integral domain, so take two elements here, so that two element will also be an element of here, and their product is 0. It means this is also not an integral domain, this is also not an integral domain, this is also not an integral domain. So these all are not integral domain. Now come to the examples. Now Zm plus dot. So the problem is that whether it is an integral domain or not. So let us think about this with the help of example. Suppose I am taking Z4. So Z4 is 0 bar, 1 bar, 2 bar, 3 bar. So there are several definitions for an integral domain, but for Z4 if we use this one, then that will be one of the easiest definition, that if A is not equal to 0 and B is not equal to 0, then A into B should be non-zero. It may be the easiest one to apply in Z4. So you can see that 4 bar is equal to 2 bar into 2 bar, and 4 bar is 0 bar. So it means their product is 0, although it is not true for all the elements. For example, 1 into 3 bar is 3 bar, and which is not equal to 0. So for some elements this is true, but it is not true for all the elements. So it means this is not an integral domain. So even if for one element it is not true, it is not an integral domain. And the reason behind this is that when you take the product of these two elements, it will become equal to this 4. Same thing you can see in Z6. In Z6, when you do 2 into 3, then it will become 6 bar. It means this is 0 bar. So the problem is with Z6 also. So it is also not an integral domain. So it means if there is proper factor for this number m, then it can never be an integral domain. Suppose m is a number that can be written as m1 into m2, where m1 is not 1, m2 is also greater than 1 and is also not m, because if it will be m then it will become 0 in Zm. So if we take two number in between 1 and m such that m is equal to this, then it means simply that if we go to modulo Zm, then m bar will become equal to m1 into m2 bar, that is m1 bar m2 bar. Because m1 is not equal to 1 and m2 is not equal to 1, so m1 bar is not 1 and m2 bar is also not 1. And because they are less than m, so it is not 0 and it is also not 0, but this number is 0. So what happens is that m1 is non-zero, m2 is non-zero, but their product m1 into m2 is equal to 0 bar. So what is our observation is that if m is not prime, then Zm is not an integral domain. Zm is not integral domain. Logically, this statement is equivalent to the another statement that Zm is integral domain implies m is prime. Zm is integral domain implies m is a prime number. Is the converse is also true? Converse means if m is a prime number, then Zm is integral domain. So let us see it. Suppose m is a prime number. Suppose m is a prime number. So suppose m is a prime number. So what we want to check is that if m is a prime number, is this Zm is integral domain? So suppose x bar y bar belongs to Zm. So I take two elements of Zm such that x bar into y bar is equal to 0 bar. Suppose I take. Then what will happen is that xy bar is equal to 0 bar. In Zm this number is 0 bar means m divides xy. But you can see if some number is a prime number, for example, suppose I take 5 and it divides the product of two numbers. Suppose it divides 10 into 3. Then this prime number divides this number. Okay, suppose 5 divides 10 into 15. It may also happen that this 5 divides this number and this number also. Or you take 2 into 20. You can another see that 5 divides this number. But is it possible that you take 16 into 13? Does this number divide this? This is because 5 does not divide this and 5 also does not divide this. So the property of actually the prime number is that if p divides a into b, then it means p divides a or p divides b. Because either p should be in the prime factorization of a or P should be in the prime factorization of B, then and only then this number can divide this A or B. So if P divides AB means P is present in the prime factorization of AB. So it has to be in the prime factorization of either of A or of B or in both of the number. So it means if M divides X into Y, then M divides X or M divides Y. So or means inclusive. So either this or both. So it means either X bar is equal to 0 bar or Y bar is equal to 0 bar. So what we have shown is that in Zm, where M is prime, what is happening is that X bar into Y bar is equal to 0 bar implies X bar is equal to 0 bar or Y bar is equal to 0 bar. So it is the definition of integral domain. So it means Zm. So it means if M is prime implies Zm is integral domain. So it is also true. So what we have proved that Zm is integral domain implies M is a prime number, and now the converse is also true, that M is prime number, then Zm is an integral domain. So we finally have observed that Zm is integral domain if and only if M is a prime number. This is if and only if M is a prime number.